Welcome to Raise the Bar Smart Money Podcast. Your host, Juan Pablo Delgado, who is a business owner, co-founder of RTB Latinx and Financial Pro, will take you with business owners, professionals, and people who are in the hustle. Raise the Bar Smart Money Podcast es un espacio para cotorrear sobre negocios, emprendimiento, la vida misma y el billete. Bienvenidos.
Hi everyone. This is the second part of the podcast interview with Tomas Gomez. But before we jump on the conversation with him, let's recap a little bit. In the first part, Tomas shared the first 2 out of 8 critical points on how a business can manage today's adversity, adapt to our new normal, and thrive in 2021. Advice number 1 was to create alignment. And advice number 2 was team commitment. And of course, he explained in detail about each one of them. So far so good? Well, it's getting better and better. Let us resume the second part of the last 6 pieces of advice for entrepreneurs and business owners.
Tomas, so you were talking about best advice for successful entrepreneurs to overcome the pandemic, and you were sharing with us 8 key points on how a business can manage today's adversity. Founder of the Inc. framework, that this is part of your main course as well.
Yes, that is correct. The whole, as I mentioned, the Inc. framework has 2 basic purposes. The first one is to provide a free online course with 8 key areas that I have found throughout, many years of career are key in order to have a successful business. And the other part is for people to share their stories, success stories, failures, anything that we can learn from each other, which I believe is the most impactful way of learning new things. So, that's the basic. So what I was trying to convey is the 8 key points in a very simple form and try to explain to your audience what those are. And I think there's value in each one of them. Some of them together in a sequence, this really can make a huge change. But I can continue. I think last time we went through advice number 1, which is about creating alignment between the owner or the leader and their team, and then have that alignment direction and towards your customers. And then the second one was to team commitment, engagement, how to get that and achieve that with your team. And I just talked about a couple of things that can help you. The next point is very, very close to my heart. And because as I was explaining, I spent a lot of my career in new product development. So this one is about strategic innovation. So how I start this advice, Juan Pablo, is by asking or saying the same old, it's not you, it's me. Why? Because only customers will decide if your product will sell. And let me explain why I say this. First of all, our lives are changing, and I don't want to go into the cliche of the pandemic. I know that the pandemic came and changed all of us. But before that, technology was advancing, and it's still advancing. Now you have Siri, and now you have Alexas, and now you have AI, and now you have telemedicine. So things are changing, and just wait to see what happens when 5G is rolled out through mainstream. That's going to change a lot of things as well. My point being that we need to be very vigilant, and we have to be monitoring and asking and have place very close attention to our customers, because their needs, their lifestyles are going to be changing as well. Now, we have a product and service. If you're a business, you have a product or a service. Now, this is serving today certain needs, but those needs are going to be changing. So we need to become really good at creating new ideas and launch them into market. Or modifying what your existing product offerings to match those changing needs.
So a strategic innovation means creating something of greater value for your customer than that that already exist. The innovation factor is not just like calling myself innovator for just creating a kind of new stuff. It's for the customers that have something really greater value.
Yes, and value is defined as something that you're willing to exchange some resources to get that. So if you're willing to pay for something in return, that's what you're paying for, the value that this new product or service will bring to you. So people get a little confused about paying for the actual product, but it's really about what the product is going to do for you. That's what you're paying. And we need to pay very close attention because that's where the confusion is. Sometimes you have great, awesome products, excellent products. They functions, solve problems and needs. They don't sell. Why? Because, there is no need for it. I mean, there's really no need for it. Or there's something else that actually solves that need at a much lower price point. So that's where value comes about. And those terms needs to be considered when you're talking about creating new product or services. So a few items to consider where we are. I took business program from Harvard Business School, the HBX program. It's really good. I'll talk a little bit more about that because it's a good source, as we would be discussing, for the audience to get educated a bit more into some of the business elements. But here's one piece of information. According to the program, it says that each year over 6 million new companies are incorporated in the U.S. Out of those, 70% survive at least 2 years, half at least 5 years, and a quarter makes it to 15 years. Now, this was a couple of years ago. I assure you that those numbers are even worse today. Now,
absolutely.
The other part of the equation is that more than 30,000 new customer products are launched each year, and 80% of them fail. That's scary. If you don't know how to take an idea to market, you're probably going to be part of this data. So here's what I'm suggesting. There is a method, and I apologize to you and everyone else because I've been repeating myself, methodology. You know what? If you want to call it a methodology, that's fine, or you can call it a recipe. But you have to put some things together in a sequential manner in order to achieve a goal. So let's follow certain steps in order to ensure that we have an increased rate of success. Let's talk about what that means. It's about doing your homework before creating a new product. You have a front end when you're talking about new product development. The first one is the front end, which is the market research. And this is about listening to your customer needs and uses. So you have to do some research about your idea. Whose your idea is for? I mean, is it really solving their problems? Is it not? And the reason why this is important, Juan Pablo, because if everyone else is a little bit like you and me, I'm assuming that you are a guy with many ideas, and those ideas come to you, taking a shower or taking a run or meditating or whatever. And some people, like myself, feel that idea came from somewhere else. Am I right? I mean, from the universe, and I'm, channeling, and this is a great idea. And and then you start thinking about, oh man, this idea is going to be great. I'm going to sell millions, and it's going to be awesome. And you're going to be in your convertible, and it's just your mind takes you there. My only suggestion is that all that energy that you feel, that excitement when you have a new idea, channel it through certain steps, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say here. Because the impulse is to get that idea and try to develop it as fast as you can, or sometimes you figure it out, oh man, I don't know, I don't even know where to start. Maybe it's too difficult, it's going to cost a lot of money, maybe I shouldn't do anything with it. And then 2 months later, you hear someone else that did it. Am I right? I mean, Someone else came up with
Right.
that idea, someone else executed, and you say, hey, that was my idea, man. What the hell? Well, yeah, if you have an idea, you have to do something about it, first of all. But
Absolutely.
do it in an educated way. Do it following certain steps. So the front end is market research. The middle part is creating and testing your new product to make sure what you defined in the first part of the equation is actually happening. Because it's very easy that you define, this idea should do this, and when you put it together and you have a physical form, it behaves a little bit differently. So you need to make sure that the product actually is tested, and you make sure that it functions to your original concept. The back end is when you launch that product to the market. First of all, there's education to do to your consumers about this new product, about these new features. So you have to do that homework as well. So all those three parts are very important, and you need to follow them. The other part of the equation is every dollar invested in product improvements needs to be recovered in 1 year max. Meaning, and you have this, I'm sure this language, ROI in any product improvement needs to be in less than a year. Why?
Absolutely.
Because everything is changing so fast that if you create a great product, but you're going to be able to pay for that development in 3 to 5 years, it's not going to work because you're going to have to change that product probably in 2, max, or 3 years. So
absolutely right. I mean, the new offering needs to be cool and functional, but also profitable.
Otherwise, you're going to carry debt of that development, and the product cycle is going to be shorter, and you're probably, you're going to have to, you're going to have some debt behind if you don't do that. So be very smart about this. Be very diligent. Figure it out, but just make sure that whatever you do, you have your return of your investment within 1 year. The second part of this is if your product you have a product that is profitable and it's selling, don't mess with it. And that's a problem, believe it or not. People think improvements will sell more. They don't, not necessarily. So if you have a great product in its mature state and it's selling, people like it, just leave it alone. Now, when to change it? In parallel, have that product running. In parallel, think and have 3 new ideas to improve the product or new products altogether, 3 for every 1 product that you have mature. This is a golden rule. Have 3 ideas ready to go for 1 product that is selling and it's maturing in its product cycle. Okay, that's very important because normally at least 30% of your ideas will never make it to market. So following statistics, have 3, and 1 of them probably will have the better chance, and that one should go. The other one is that a product that you're selling or service that it's time to renew because you see a sustainable decline in sales, not just 1 month or whatever, something can happen, but if you see a sustainable decline, it's time to think about renewing that product or making one altogether. Now, the old one or the current one does not necessarily need to be replaced. You can have the old one still running and create a new one and give it a new name, give it a Rep 2, give it a number. Remember Apple, Apple 1 or 2 and 3 and iPhones have a different number. But Apple does not they don't discontinue the older models. They keep them, and just lower their prices because they're still selling. And at the same time, sell the new one. And then you create a broader, market for it. So those are 3 items that it's very important to consider. Those are the main or the most common mistakes that I have seen and I have made myself in people doing new products. So hopefully this is helpful. Advice number 4, I call it, are we there yet? And why? Because if you don't have a way to understand where you are, how far are you, what's happening, then you don't know, you're lost. And what I mean by that is this is the importance, and this is where metrics come to place. And metrics have a fancy term that is called key performance indicator. That's, what mainstream uses or big corporations uses. And now it's becoming a lot more KPIs. Everybody's talking about KPIs. Now,
Right.
what a KPI is, it's a piece of data that measures performance, and their objective is to give us a signal when to take action. That's the main idea for a KPI. It's a piece of information that will allow you to take action because it will signal you. It will slap you in the face. It will tell you this is happening, react.
Right.
Now, a very simple example is, you're in a baseball game, and, if you have a scoreboard, imagine if you didn't have it. Who's winning? What happened? Are we close? Are we there? How many outs? I mean, it's going to be impossiple to follow that game.
And exhausting because, it takes a lot of energy to figure it out what's the next thing to come up with.
Exactly, yes. And so now if you know what's happening, then you're reacting to it. You're taking changes. You're making changes. You change the pitcher. You change the player. The play itself. And why? Because you're looking at a score and you're looking at a time, and that needs to happen in your business. You need to have those KPIs, those metrics, very, very easily. Even if you have it in front of your computer all day long, or on your side on a board or whatever, just make it visible that everybody is aware what's going on so they can react. Pressure comes when you know what's going on. If you don't know what's going on, your energy levels will maintain the same all the time. But you need to fluctuate. You need to react to what's happening, and that's very important. So I'll give you an example. Choosing the right KPIs, it's not as easy as people think. Why? Because they normally go for the very basic type of a KPIs. For example, revenue or sales. Okay, that should be one metric. Everybody, measures that and follows and monitors that. The other one is profit. All right, so you have your revenue, you have your profit, and that's, primarily what most of small business go for. But we need to understand that revenue or sales are a consequence. Something generated that sale. And those success factors are the ones that we need to take attention to. For example, revenue is a consequence of marketing and sales efforts. They are the effect of product quality and consumer reviews. And they are the result of customer service and your post-sale activities, the retention program, the referral program. So you need to measure those elements, because if those elements are following your objectives, meeting your goals, revenue will happen automatically. But if we focus only on revenue and that's what's causing the revenue, if you have a bad day or a bad month on revenue, where is it coming from? What is failing? You need to go back, take your time to see what's happening. Don't waste that time. If you have it very clearly defined and you're measuring those factors all together all the time, it's going to be immediate. You're going to know exactly what's happening at the right time, real time. Are we in the same page, Juan Pablo, there?
Absolutely. And whatever you decide to measure as business owners is what your team will focus the energy on. So that's
correct.
Very powerful stuff there.
That's the truth. I mean, whatever you put in front of them, they're going to go for it. So if you put a KPI that is not bringing a lot of value and there's something more important, they're not going to put attention to that one. They're going to put attention to the one you said you're measuring. So everybody's going to look at that, board, at that chart, and they're going to make sure that it's going to be what, defining what it's going to take. So yes, the KPI is a very powerful driver. Make sure you pick the right ones. That's my advice.
Awesome. I love it. Me encanta. Let's find out what's advice number 5.
All right. Advice number 5. This is a great one. And I call it, hello, where's everybody? And this came because I was talking to a friend who has a restaurant, okay? And we were talking a few months back, and she said, "You know what? I sometimes come to the restaurant, and I say, well, hello, where's everybody? I mean, where is everybody?" And my answer is, they're online, my friend. They are online, and you need to be there too. And you need to learn, the basic elements of online the world. Mm-hmm. And so here's my advice. You have primarily 4 platforms for social media. That's where our social life, lives nowadays. And our kids, even worse. I mean, that's their universe. Now, for businesses, the best 4, at least until today, I'm sure that's going to change tomorrow, it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Now, we need to consider that when we present our company through those platforms, we need to understand that each one of them has their own unique culture, their own unique environment. Right. Now, people, for example, go to Instagram, and Instagram has a very close emotional attachment to it. It is where you get like a personal message from a bro, from your friend, is a living experience. That's how you need to communicate about your business in those terms through Instagram. On Facebook is the more traditional mouth-to-mouth, to pass the message between friends. I mean, you have a network, and whatever you like, you click like, and you share with the rest of your friends. So as I say, this is a more traditional mouth-to-mouth type of environment. Twitter has a more viral nature, for content. It also helps you for some reputation management. So that's Twitter. And as we go from Twitter to LinkedIn, it's getting more formal connection. It's more professional connection. Right. LinkedIn is, at the very left side of the story, is the professional networking, is the B2B, the B2C, and that's, that part. So the language that you're going to present your company with, in each of these, need to consider those details. Who you're talking to, what the audience is looking in that platform. And that's how you should develop your copy. Now, right. It is also very important to make sure we understand that we want to attract the right customers for us, and we want to repel the ones we don't want. A bad customer for you is a bad review in social media, is a dissatisfied customer. It can create a mess. So you need to find a way to create your message with that in mind. Who do I want to attract? Who do I want to love what I'm saying? And I want that message also to repel the people that I don't want. So in order to do that, you need to define to the smallest detail who is your preferred customer. I mean, marketing people call it the avatar. So who is your avatar? To create an avatar, I suggest that you create a story. You say, Juan Pablo, my business is this, and my avatar name is going to be something. It can be a man or a woman. It cannot be both. And the reality is that in the real world, it's going to be both. But what I'm saying is, when you develop this message, at the first, you need to find your core avatar, and the details go up to the gender as well.
But yes. Tomas, also there's that marketing and sales are often seen as one, but I think you can explain that there are 2 different efforts on marketing and sales.
Yes, and that is a confusion. It needs to be separated because you need to treat each one of them with their own resources. You have profiles of people that are really creative, really good at engaging, but that they don't have social skills, or they don't want to have social skills. So, and that's the sales part. So the marketing side is what catches your attention. It can be in the online world. It can be a brick and mortar. It can be walking, and looking at a window at a shop. What attracts you, the message that you hear, what drives you to look into that product or service or restaurant or shop or store, to get you closer to it. That's the marketing effort. Everything you read, the smell, everything else, that's the marketing portion. The sales portion is when you are now interested. You're genuinely interested in what they're offering. And that part, the sales comes in and closes the transaction. The sales part is going to tell you the value that you are going to get with that purchase or what they're offering. That's their job, to make sure that they communicate what value you're going to get with it. Why is it great? Why you should get it? What need is going to be helping you with? And then you close the transaction. Now, after you close the transaction, meaning you bought the product or the service, the back end is also a marketing responsibility. The post, getting the engagement, following up with you, sending you newsletters, sending you emails to make sure that you're fresh in their minds. That you're Now, if you keep them fresh in their minds, that what you want is for them to come back. So when they do come back, that sales comes again. They'll get you, they'll walk you through, help you with the transaction, and off you go once more. So it's a cycle, but we need to understand who does what. Because as I say, it's a question of skills. There are different skills. So as long as we separate those two, that you're going to be okay. You don't want a marketing guy selling, and you don't want a sales guy marketing. It will be great if they can do that, both items. That will be awesome. But you know what? You need to separate roles and responsibilities to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you're doing it right.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you.
Excellent. So, moving on. You ready for advice number 6 now, Juan Pablo?
I'm so ready. Go for it.
And you know why I ask you this? Because this is right on your core competency. This is what you're good at. This is about financials.
Oh, and, yeah. I love it. Money.
Exactly. So I'm going to be brief on advice number 6 because you can tell us a lot more about that, and that's what you guys do. So my advice on this is brief. I like the VG songs that says "Staying Alive," and the reason why is because
who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Every time I think about this topic, I think about that song, and the reason is because as we, need oxygen to live, your business needs cash flow. Juan Pablo, you tell me how important it is, cash flow in a business. How important it is to have cash in your life, money in the bank that you can use to make some transactions. If you don't have that, that you're not going to last long. Am I right? Do you agree with me?
Absolutely, 100% with you. That's like having blood in your veins, in your bodies.
You have to operate. You have to pay your payroll. You have to pay your people. You have to pay your vendors. And here's the point. Accounting-wise, normally your accountant will provide, or maybe you're fluent in that and you can do it yourself, but you have a balance sheet and then you have an income statement. The problem more often that I have seen is when you look at your income statement or your P&L, which means basically your revenue minus your expenses or the cost of the goods minus your expenses, and then what's your profit? And then from that profit, you need to pay some taxes. So what's the bottom line, which is the net income? So, pretty simple. But the problem, Juan Pablo, that I have seen very many times is that people confuse, business owners or the ones responsible confuse that profit with money in the bank. And they say, hey, why is this telling me that I should have $35,000 in profit and I don't have $35,000 in the bank? I only have $1,000 and I'm struggling. So what happened? Well, the thing is that an income statement takes, different things in consideration. It will tell you if your business model is profitable, but it will not tell you how you're managing your cash. And that's why it's so important to manage or operate your daily business based on your statement of cash flow or your bank accounts. You need to understand what the frequency of money coming in is against what the frequency of money coming out is. So
that's paramount. That's super important. And also in personal level, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And And actually, in the personal level, you have to have like 3 different buckets. One is for emergency fund, the other is for opportunity fund, and the third one is for, let's say, financial independence or retirement.
Do you know those buckets are applicable to your business as well? And the reality is, Juan Pablo, that if you're not good at managing your personal finances, it's probably you're not going to be so good at handling your financials in your business. So
Absolutely.
You have to be, if you're responsible for a business, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be as diligent as you are personally with your business, if not even more. Why? Because in your business, you have responsibilities over a lot of people. I mean, what your decisions are going to affect a lot of people. So make sure that you understand how cash is coming in and how it's coming out. So the simple terms in order to create better cash flow is have your customers pay you sooner than what you pay your vendors. If you have that gap there, it's going to be helpful. And the other portion is maintain low inventory. Low inventory is key. Sometimes we want to take advantage of sales. You know, if I buy in bulk, if I buy this larger quantity, it's going to be cheaper. Really do the math, please, because having large amounts of inventory is always worst. I mean, you can save a few dollars maybe because you have a huge buy, but eventually it can get damaged. It's hard to manage, to move. It's creating space. You know, just please make sure that you understand that and that you do the numbers. Really, is it cost effectively to buy this much, you know, just because it's going to be a little bit cheaper, or should I buy in smaller amounts? And that's key and that's paramount to create efficiency in your business and also to maintain a healthy cash flow. So I'm ready to go to the next one. Are you?
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
So the advice number 7, and we're almost there, just so everybody knows. Advice number 7 is you and what army? And what I mean by that is we as small business owners or managers, I mean, we have small teams, okay? And we want those teams to produce as much as needed. Now, most likely, and in my experience asking many business owners, they think that there is a relationship between being on top of things, of every detail, on top of your employees, so they do the work and they do it hard, and the more hours they work, the more product they're going to deliver, and so on and so on and so on. And I always tell them, you know what, that is not necessarily the truth. And they always look at me and say, are you kidding me? And I say, no, I'm not. Really, just bear with me here. There is a way in which you can produce at least 30% more of what you're producing right now with the same people and the same equipment. I've done this for 15 years, I tell them, and I assure you that is true.
It's a huge number. It's amazing.
It's a huge number, and I've done it thousands of times. Thousands. I come in, I look at what they're doing, we make a few adjustments, and you can achieve that. Now, the whole concept.
There are different types of waste, but maybe you can tell us, consider the basic ones.
Sure. This whole concept is called continuous improvement, and this was made popular by Toyota. Toyota in the 80s, 90s started implementing a new culture of eliminating waste. And yes, you're right. There are different types of waste, and I'm going to tell you at least 5 of them because there's many. But what Toyota is focusing on is eliminating waste, and they created methods and tools and techniques in order to do that. The whole focus was eliminating waste. Now let's talk about the types of waste. First ones. The first type of waste is error, which means not doing it right the first time. How many times have you, send a paper to the copy and then you walk over, you get it, and you find an error, and then you do it again, and then you send it over? These are small details. These are small details, but they amount as time passes. Doing it right the first time is really, really important. So you start measuring and looking at the processes in companies and say, how many times things are being repeated. And you don't see that until you ask it. You don't see that until you look for that. So just be diligent and try to look for those things that, small errors, small things that make you do things twice or 3 times. Not only yourself, of course, but the whole company, your whole staff. The other portion is overdoing. And this is very interesting because what this means is that you're doing things that our customers don't need, want, or care for.
Right.
So you need to ask your question every time you're in the office. Your employees and your teams need to ask this question. What I'm doing, is it bringing any value to our customers? Is it bringing any value to the product and service that we bring in? If the answer is no, you should not be doing it. And you can say, hey, wait. There's a lot of things that do not bring value to the customer that I should be doing. Give me one example. I assure you that that's not the case. Whatever you're doing is bringing value to your customers in some shape or form. In order to deliver them a great product, you need to do some certain tasks. You need to do those tasks. But as I say, just ask your questions that all the time. If what I'm doing is bringing value to my customers. Answer is no, don't do it. Find another way. Just discard that. The third one is waiting. If you go into an office, you're normally going to see someone running around and someone else playing with their staples and someone else just, tapping their fingers on the table because probably they're waiting for something. And just right there, you need to understand, what is that person waiting for? Why is this person running around? So you need to map things out. See what they're doing, what they should be doing step by step, and see why, why is that happening? If you see that, it should not be happening. Nobody should be running around, and nobody should be waiting for anything. They should be flowing. There should be a balance. People do what they're doing, being active, collaborating within each other, sending, I'm going to take a report, you're going to wait for it, don't wait for it. I mean, let's do it in parallel. Find ways for people not to wait, find ways for people not to run around. The runarounds are going to be burnout, is unsafe even. The ones waiting, they're bored and they're thinking about something else that they should not be thinking. You know how that goes. So let's sure that your workplace is balanced. The other one is underutilized people, and that's exactly what I ask about the people waiting. But let's not get confused with that. People have different talents and skills, and you need to make sure in your company that an employee maybe is really good at something, but they're not doing that because it's not their job. Think about how to take advantage of those skills. Do not have people with great skills that they're good at something that you don't even know about. So ask them. To have that conversation. What else can you be doing? What else you should not be doing? And have that conversation. Make sure their skills are utilized to the best of your intent. And the last one is movement. Unnecessary distances. Unnecessary, and that happens all the time. I've seen this so many times. You come into an office, the department that uses the copy machine the most is in one side and the copy machine is in the other side or in the center because, it needs to be available for everyone, but they don't use it as often. These guys use it all the time and they need to walk over and come back and walk over and then come and then walk over and there's no paper. Those are small details that amount at the end of time. If I tell you, Juan Pablo, that I have seen without people noticing that in some offices, there's people that waste 76 hours a year just walking to the copy machine. What would you say about that?
It's a waste of time. It's a waste of productivity and resources, and it's outstanding.
You'll be amazed, Juan Pablo, at how often that happens. Really, you'll be surprised and amazed and shocked about how much that simple example happens in offices. So that's why we need to be diligent. Let's look into those items. Let's look into those things that you don't pay attention to. Let's pay attention to.
Right, and you're right that daily activities can be reduced from 45 minutes to 5 minutes, and more complex tasks from 3 days to 8 hours. So, wow, that's amazing, and you are hired, my friend.
Well, you know what? I just want to help, and really this is a step-by-step process. It's part of the free online course. You can find, how to achieve and how to deal with errors and waste and all that. There is a method. You follow it just through, and it's very simple. You just need to take it to put it to work, and you will be amazed. I mean, yes, you're right. 45 to 5 minutes, 3 days to 8 hours. That's bread and butter for someone working in continuous improvement. That's what we do. That's what we spend all our time. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. And Tomas, remind us what's the best way for the community to get in touch with your company.
The inkframework.com. That's the website. You have everything you need right there, including the formats. I mean, you're going to have a platform for the course. I mean, you're going to have a video explaining an introduction, and then you're going to have some readouts. You have some quizzes to make sure that you did learn what I'm trying to communicate, and then you have the formats. You just download them and get them to work. You don't need to do a lot of work for that. It's all there, and it's ready for you. If you have any questions, of course, you can always contact me. There's my email number, the contact. Yeah, you can contact me by email, and by all means, I can help you through it. But all the information is there, and it's ready to go. So I'm ready for the last one. What about that?
All
the
right.
last one.
Let's go for it.
The last one is hitting the restart button. And that is super important because there are a lot of things that we do not control. And if I'm on, I think the last time I looked into those statistics, 1 out of 15 companies that I ask, just one, have a plan for adversity. The other 14, they don't. They have a plan for their products. They have a plan for their services, how they're going to improve this and that and their business and expanding, but they don't have a plan for adversity. And what that means is the variables that we do not control. Now, I had this course since last year. I mean, the perfect example just happened. Am I right? It just happened. Yeah. I mean, you have a pandemic in place. It changed all the rules. It changed everything.
Absolutely. Exactly. They changed everything. By the way, I have another number that is so overwhelmed that 90% are not going to achieve financial independence.
That's huge. But you know what, Juan Pablo? That is statistics based on what's happening right now. The difference is that if you are a person that reads, that gets in touch, that wants to prepare yourself, wants to improve yourself, find better ways. You're curious. You have your creative. You put that to work. You find courses like this, courses like yours. Have a better idea. Find the right books. Have the right consultants. Have the right people to help you with. You will not be part of that statistic, and you can change that. That's the thing. And you know what, Juan Pablo? We cannot help everyone. I mean, we need to make sure that we have the conversation with someone that needs help because sometimes you just can't. There's a different type of people to be able to help you. And I have at least 10 mentors, coaches that I talk to. I still, hire them to help me. I mean, it's not that I know everything. By all means, I do not. But I do certain things, and I want to share that with you. And I still do, as I say, I hire, people to help me with certain elements of it. It's always very helpful. It's like, having a life coach. Sometimes we need reference points. You think you're doing the right thing, you're not. You think you're doing the wrong thing, you're not. I mean, you need references. Yeah, you need to reference to understand where you're at, what is helpful, creative, healthy for you, and what it's not, because we're different people. So there are different businesses. Not all consultants can do everything. I mean, you need to have a conversation, see what they're doing, and be very honest and say, I can help you, or really I cannot, but I can find an answer for you. I can find someone that maybe could. Or I can give you some advice and say, you know what, you should look for this type of person. I think that's the best you can do. And And that's, that honest feedback is what we need. That honest feedback is what we need, because there's a lot of people out there that are trying to sell their stuff. They're going to try to shove it up our throats. They're saying that that's the ultimate, key answer for everything, and that's not true.
Right, the magic wand. Exactly.
The magic wand, yeah. It's just, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah.
No. So, follow your gut feeling as well. If you feel, resonance with that person, you feel that you're talking the same language, then there's something there. If at the beginning there's something, different, something that it just does not match up or does not feel right, just don't do it. It's not that you're making a bad decision, just follow that, that gut. It's very important that you find the right people to help you. And so, we don't have any time and any money to waste. Nobody has it. I mean,
for sure. And Tomas Gomez, before wrap this up, a final message that you would like to share with our audience?
Yes, I understand. I'm overwhelmed as well. I'm really overwhelmed as well with what's happening. I don't have, a lot of answers for my business, for what I'm doing. I'm trying to look for those answers. I'm looking at others to what they're doing in order to learn. Try, to avoid trial and error. Just read about what other businesses such like yours are doing to cope and to, go through this bad stage of the economy and of life. Just read and try to communicate and see what others are doing. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. That's money and time that we don't have. So yeah, have some help on that. Read, communicate, inform yourself. And the other portion is what you can make some changes. Just make sure that those are the right changes and that you follow, an educated method in order to make those changes. Do not look for opinions. Do not look for someone that tells you the magic secret word. Just look for things that have a method behind it, that have some technical background. Be conscious that, there's a lot of offerings out there. There's a lot of people selling stuff, in the internet world. Do your homework. Find the reputation of the people that are bringing this message to you. I mean, do a little bit of background check. It's very important that you have the right partner in this, because really you can make a difference. I mean, there is an answer out there. I assure you that whatever your problem is with your company, you can resolve it. I assure you that. Just trying to find the right answer, that's where the key lies. So inform yourself, do some research, understand exactly where you need help. Don't ask something, I feel this way and can you help me? No. Be specific. This is my problem. Can you help me? The more specific you are, the better answer you will get. If someone says, you don't worry, I will take care of the rest. No, they're lying. That's not how it goes. You need to be very specific explaining what your problem is, and they need to be very specific on how they plan to resolve it. So that's as far as I go. I'm sure, hopefully, Juan Pablo, it's not going to be the last time we talk, and hopefully this is of value. Talking about value, hopefully this is of value for your audience and they learn just a few things here.
Tomas Gomez, founder of the Inc. Framework, we're wishing you all the best. Be safe and keep raising the bar, and thank you so much for sharing golden nuggets for business owners and entrepreneurs. Thank you so much.
No, yeah, thank you, Juan Pablo. It's been an honor. Really, I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me. And say hi to your team, of course, to Adam, and look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Absolutely.